This is Barry Heads with Sharp Counsel. I want to thank you for tuning in. We're part two in our series titled Stress is an Opportunity for Growth. And I want to continue this series, obviously, on the topic of stress, but I want to talk about a few things that will help us grow in the area of business and leadership. As we began in the first part of the series, I told you a story about Rabbi Abraham Twerksey, who was a well-known rabbi in the 20th century, well-known rabbi. And I want to tell you that story one more time, very quickly. Rabbi Twerksey told this story quite often during his lifetime, and it helped quite a bit of people. So I want to remind you all about this story. So Dr. Twerksey was in a actual doctor's office, and he saw a magazine, picked up the magazine, and he flipped it open and turned to an article. And the article spoke about lobsters. Now, he wasn't interested in lobsters per se, but the article interested in him because it talked about how lobsters handle stress. And I'll relay that message for you. Now, the lobster's shell is soft and mushy, okay? The lobster's body is soft and mushy, but it has a rigid outer shell to protect itself from predators. Now, the article posed the question, how do lobsters grow? And what lobsters do to grow is they go underneath a rock to protect themselves from predators. And what they do is they extract themselves from the old shell and they wait for some time until they grow a new, hard, rigid outer shell. Once that shell has completed its forming, molding, growth process, what the lobster does is exit itself or remove itself from the rock, and it goes back into the wild. And this process is done over and over and over throughout the lobster's lifetime. Now, what we take from this message is that the stimulus for growth for the lobster is discomfort. So whenever the lobster feels uncomfortable throughout his life, deeply uncomfortable, it knows that the current shell it's in is too small, it is too tight. So it instinctively goes under a rock and removes itself from its old shell until it can grow a new, strong, rigid shell. So I say all that to say, how do we use stress positively? How do we use stress positively? And I want to say stress can be defined in some terms as tension resulting from an external circumstance. I'll say that again. Stress can be defined in some circumstances as tension resulting from an external circumstance. When we talk about stress, we are typically talking about adversity. But what we don't plan for is stress that comes from winning or meeting our goals. We often see stress as a failure or stress as something not working out the way that we hoped it to go, or stress as being fired, or stress as losing our company. But stress can also come from winning. It can come from meeting our goals. And I don't think we always take into account what's happening. Stress can come in terms of us transitioning to a new career. We might have wanted to go into that career, or we might have wanted to expand our business, or we might have wanted to expand our leadership capabilities. But with that comes stress, and with that comes problems. I want to talk about a concept very quickly. The concept is called post-traumatic growth. And it's a concept describing positive psychological change experienced as struggling with highly challenging life circumstances. One more time. Post-traumatic growth is a concept describing positive psychological change experienced as struggling with highly challenging life circumstances. So, for example, I like to use people who go to the military. I've known quite a few people that went to the military. My own grandpa went to the military. I've had friends that have gone and come back from the military. And they definitely change, okay? They definitely change. And they may change in ways such as their core beliefs, their personal strengths change, they grow. Their appreciation for life grows after experiencing war. And there's also quite often spiritual growth in many cases. And this happens after challenging life circumstances. So in our work, we should see stress as an opportunity to move forward by post-traumatic growth. which is an opportunity to move forward due to stress.